Hello and welcome to today's Ofsted Personal Development webinar. In today's webinar, we're going to look at the new standalone personal development judgment in Ofsted's new inspection framework. Just a little bit about Kloodle. We are a software company providing a platform that enables you to record all of your personal development curriculum and its impact on students' personal development quickly and easily in one place. And we'll touch upon how we do that throughout this webinar. But in the main, what we're looking to cover in this webinar is an outline of the criteria of the new judgment, the research basis for the judgment. The new Common Inspection Framework is underpinned by a set of research principles that Ofsted have been through, and we're going to have a quick look at that. And then an interpretation of the requirements of this judgment, and then how Kloodle can help form a case for hitting this judgment. So you may be familiar with previous versions of Ofsted's inspection framework. Personal development, behaviour and welfare used to be combined into one judgment, but the new framework, however, dedicates a standalone judgment to personal development. And this judgment is designed to look at how your curriculum extends beyond the academic, technical and vocational. And at this point we can just think about the wording in Ofsted's official guidelines. The judgment is looking to provide broader development for learners, to help learners discover interests and talents, to develop character, confidence and resilience, to prepare learners for their future success, and also to prepare learners for life in modern Britain. And obviously the word curriculum here is highly relevant, and we can take some of our ideas outlined in the quality of education from the outline in the quality of education judgment and apply them to how we develop our curriculum for personal development. And the important idea that permeates through this Ofsted Common Inspection Framework is the 3 I's. They are intent, implementation and impact. And when we're looking to develop our personal development curriculum, our intent should be to develop an ambitious curriculum designed to give learners the knowledge and cultural capital to succeed. And this wording is taken from the Quality of Education judgment in the Inspection Framework Handbook. And this inspection framework is looking to tackle curriculum narrowing, so this concept of a broad curriculum is highly important. Our approach to personal development should be no different than our approach to academic curriculum. It shouldn't be narrow. We should provide a wide range of opportunities and contexts where personal development is focused on. This could be through our academic curriculum, it could be through extracurricular activities and work experiences, etc., etc. And we'll touch on some of the examples where personal development can be hit later on in the webinar. The wider reach of our personal, so the idea behind this is that the wider the reach of our personal development ethos, the greater its impact. So when we're looking at the next stage in the 3 I's, successful implementation looks at how your curriculum affects long-term memory and the ability your learners have to integrate the knowledge and skills they're developing into larger concepts. And a key aspect of learners developing the ability to create long-term memories and use their learning in wider contexts is reflection. So developing a learner's ability to reflect upon their learning will help them create meaning and knowledge from the skills they are gaining. So reflecting upon the personal development that your curriculum is helping to develop is key to ensuring that your curriculum is firstly understood by all learners and secondly has impact. And impact is indeed step 3 in the Ofsted curriculum design framework, and this principle states that learners are developing knowledge and skills through your curriculum and that your curriculum is preparing learners for the next stage. So when designing your curriculum, it should be rooted in a solid consensus of the school's leaders regarding what knowledge and what skills are contained within it. The new framework seems to revolve heavily around investigating the level of thought that has gone into curriculum design and how implementation of the curriculum reinforces this thought. So obviously, this will be something that you go through when you're designing your curriculum as a matter of course. But Ofsted's framework seems to codify it, so it provides some sort of rigor and structure behind curriculum design, and the three I's provide you with a framework of how to show Ofsted that you're considering the impact, implementation, and intent of curriculum when you design it. So the key question when designing a personal development curriculum needs to be what skills and knowledge are we looking to build as a result of our curriculum choices. So in short, an effective personal development curriculum must be broad. It must have an agreed upon set of skills and knowledge that it delivers. It should be ambitious. And the key note here in the framework to disadvantaged learners, it should be ambitious for those groups of people as well. It should be designed to maximise understanding. It should equip learners with knowledge and skill, and it should prepare them for the next stage. Also, in the guidelines, Ofsted outlined that when they are coming to their judgment, they will look at your adherence or your acknowledgement of the research basis for this new framework. So they'll be looking for evidence that the research has been considered. Ofsted produce an accompanying booklet to the school's inspection handbook, which is worth a read, that outlines the research that they've drawn upon when developing their inspection criteria. And the research on personal development is fairly illuminating and worth a read when looking at designing this aspect of your curriculum. So the two main aspects that I'm going to pick up on that Ofsted look at, the development of self-belief, resilience and character, and also the mental and physical health of your students. So in terms of self-belief, resilience and character, a direct quote from the research booklet is that intentionally investing in character education using a whole school approach, modelling desired behaviours and integrating character development as part of a strong curriculum rather than a separate standalone event is a key way in which learners can develop their character. And a school's effect on mental health and developing character is determined by climate. So one large aspect of climate, Ofsted touch heavily on this in both the behaviour judgement and also the personal development judgement. But key aspects of this are is your school consistent and well organised? Are the student body well behaved and adhere to a common set of rules that are well understood? Do you have strong staff-student relationships within the school? Is your climate built upon a shared set of values? And also, are you focusing on the positives as opposed to the negatives in student development? So are you a celebratory atmosphere that looks to the success that students are having, and that obviously has a massive effect on self-belief. Self-belief in Ofsted's research is the leading driving factor of increased self-belief is achievement. So self-belief, achievement drives self-belief more than the other way around. So having a lot of self-belief doesn't necessarily drive achievement, but continually achieving drives self-belief. So it's very important to create an atmosphere that celebrates small successes and achievement to build that self-belief in students. Another aspect that touches upon building resilience and character, and also the mental health aspects, is Ofsted make a lot of mention of community as being a hugely important factor. This is why such attention seems to be paid to British values. That feeling of belonging has a huge bearing on mental effect and on mental health. Sorry, and obviously, if we're teaching students the importance of British values and what it means to be British and part of that British culture, we're creating that sense and feel of community. And when we look at the assessment criteria for personal development judgment later, you'll see that the breadth of activities that are on offer and levels of participation in activities is a huge source of evidence for Ofsted when they're deciding on their personal development judgment. And the levels of participation here is a proxy for students being part of this community and getting involved in the life of the school or college. And this, as I say, the community feel has a huge impact on the mental health of young people. So with an outline to what the personal development judgment is looking at, we will start to develop a practical framework of how we can begin to think about firstly developing the curriculum, and then secondly creating a compelling narrative that our organisation is indeed hitting this personal development judgment effectively. So step one, as outlined in the inspection framework, is to develop a consensus of the skills and knowledge that a school should be developing throughout its curriculum. And the framework appears to place great importance on the thought that goes into curriculum design. So here at this point is where we can start to demonstrate some of that thought. And as character development is a strong requirement for the personal development judgment, the first thing that I would begin with is building a framework of character traits and skills that we wish our curriculum to build. And this is something that we see commonly in schools that we work with, a set of values or a set of skills that a school is working towards building. One of the aspects of the quality of education judgment that is hugely important in this framework is that students understand well what their curriculum is building towards. So if you have a shared set of values and show learners what type of character you're trying to develop as part of your curriculum, that is giving them a clear indication as to what they're trying to achieve throughout this period of their education. So creating a shared set of values serves two main purposes. It provides us with this shared set of values that helps our school or college build a community upon the top of, and that essentially is what a community and a culture is a shared set of values. And then secondly, it provides us with a common language for users to learn, for learners to use. This common language will help learners articulate the knowledge and skills they're building as part of our curriculum, and then begin to apply these skills to other contexts. So I'm just going to use as an example throughout the rest of this webinar a set of values that have been developed by one of the schools that we're working with, and these include aspects such as being engaged, resilient, reflective, self-disciplined. Are you a challenge seeker? Are you curious? Democratic, tolerant, respectful? Are you a team player, and are you a good communicator? And as you'll see, these character traits overlap with the character traits that Ofsted are looking for in building self-belief, resilience, and character by way of being resilient or self-disciplined or a challenge seeker, but then also the British values in being democratic, tolerant, and respectful. And this framework that we built here will then provide us with a thread of coherence through the rest of our curriculum design. And these values can then filter into our enrichment activities, extracurricular activities, and our academic curriculum as well, as something that we can focus on and use as a shared set of language that we can use in each lesson so that students understand the character traits that they are building as part of our curriculum. Secondly, the next thing that I would do if I was developing a personal development curriculum is list the kind of non-negotiables that must exist within the curriculum. So if you read the Common Inspection Framework language, it makes mention to things like British values, physical health education, sex education, aspects of health education including drugs and alcohol awareness, and a healthy body and healthy mind, and also Gatsby related activities. So these types of activities should be contained within our curriculum, and a lot of existing elements within our academic curriculum or further enrichment or extracurricular activities will contain elements of these already. So we will probably not need to recreate lessons on these topics, but we need to begin to highlight these topics when they're being taught in the wider curriculum. So for example, health education might occur in biology when we teach nutrition, and the importance of health. Physical exercise might be taught in PE. The value of democracy might be taught in history when we're contrasting, say, the forms of government for Nazi Germany and how that differs from our form of government. And we could also look at things like tolerance in RE. So we may be hitting a lot of these markers already in the curriculum, and what we need to be able to do is analyse what is currently going on and identify where this is currently taking place within our curriculum, identify the gaps, and monitor learner understanding of participation. And this is the first place where Kloodle can help with. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly show you how we're going to go about doing this. So the first thing I've done when setting up my organisation on Kloodle is import my shared set of values. So in the settings section, looking at skills, I've imported the skills that you saw on the previous slide into my Kloodle setup. So engaged, resilient, reflective, self-disciplined, challenge seeker, curious, democratic, respectful, team player, communicator. And this is going to be the thread through which we look at all the activities that we've got on offer, and then also what students start to begin to post when they're reflecting. And you'll start to see how this works as I take you further through the website. So the next thing we are going to look at is our audit. So we spoke about looking at what our curriculum currently offers and how that then compares with what we should be offering as part of a personal development curriculum. So what I've done here is I've created an example spreadsheet of the activities that are currently on offer in our school or college, and I have then listed the skills that are next to these particular activities and these skills match up with the ones that we've just created in our Kloodle account. And this skills audit, I would personally get heads of subject to outline all the instances where these sorts of skills are being developed. So aspects of British values that might be being covered within our lessons, aspects of self-development that these skills, self-discipline, curious, reflective, that kind of thing. Where are those being covered within our lessons? And I'll get heads of department to fill these topics in. And this can include also things like, if we just go further down the list, sex education might be covered in biology or PSHE. Things like drugs and alcohol awareness might be covered as part of pastoral lessons. We might be covering the history of democracy in history, as we mentioned earlier. So we start to get heads of department to look at each of these topics that we need to hit as part of our personal development curriculum and list them into a spreadsheet like this. And then what we can do is we can then upload these into our Kloodle account. So I'm going to download all these activities once I've got heads of department to fill this process in, download these as a spreadsheet, as a CSV, and go across to our Kloodle account here and look at our dashboard. And at the moment we haven't got any activities uploaded to Kloodle, but we've got 4 main categories. So Gatsby activities, curriculum-led activities, enrichment and pastoral. And we're going to import the spreadsheet that we've just created. So all our heads of department have uploaded the parts of the subject that are hitting this personal development curriculum. And we're going to upload this to Kloodle, give it a title, descriptions and skills, and also a type, and click submit. And then as that loads, all our rewards will now be imported into Kloodle. And this is the part where we can start to see where the gaps are as well as what we have covered. So you can see we've got a broad enrichment offering, pastoral lessons, curriculum lessons and Gatsby lessons. And if we click across to our skills provision, this shows us which skills the awards and the activities we've just created hit. So engaged is heavily represented through those awards that we've just uploaded. Self-disciplined, challenge seeker, curious, so on and so forth. So you can start to see where the strengths and weaknesses of our personal development offering lie, and then we can start to manage this process by looking at what we can offer that may increase, democratic as a skill. How can we offer activities that build up this democratic trait within our students? How can we make them more resilient? That's kind of underrepresented at the minute with only 32 activities. Can we build more activities that build resilience, and so on and so forth? So we can use this then to hone our offering to create activities that hit these, that broaden this skills development through what we are offering. So this serves the purpose of monitoring learner participation and gathering reflections on learning. So each of these activities are represented by an award on Kloodle. And what this does is it gives us the ability to monitor learner participation for one, and then gather reflections on learning. So if I take, for example, let's look at our enrichment offering. So here we have, say, football by way of example. If we click through to that, so this award here on Kloodle, we can start to tag learners into this award. So if we click on learners, we can start to say who has participated in football in our school or college. So it might be that Jason participates, and also it might be that Natasha participates as well. So let's click on actions and awards are selected. And then when we go back to our dashboard and look at our enrichment, we can see that football has got 2 participants, and obviously you can imagine this on a wider scale, where we're adding more and more participants to the football activity as part of our curriculum. And also what that does is, I'm just going to go and click to Natasha, who you might recall we added as a participant in football, and this is added as an award on her profile, so it's listed that she's participating in this activity. But what Natasha can then start to do is to create reflections upon the skills that this activity is demonstrating. So she does that by creating a post. So we might want to talk about how our football is developing teamwork. And then we can get our learners to reflect on the teamwork that she's been building as part of this football and this enrichment activity. So teamwork in football. And you can start to imagine how a learner might write a little bit more on here about how she's developing her teamwork skills as part of this activity that she's taking part in. She also gets the opportunity to upload media, so she might want to upload a photo or a video to this particular piece of work. I'm not going to do that currently. Next, she's got the opportunity to tag in skills, so she might tag in resilience, team player and communicator as part of this. And next, we'll keep that as private and click finish. And then you'll see that the post loads into this award. And what that does then, firstly, is if we go back to Natasha's profile, is that piece of content is present on her profile. So our computer's got so many things loading at the moment. It's taking a little while. So there's my teamwork in football post as part of my profile. You'll notice here as well that Natasha's skills wheel has grown, so teamwork here is represented by that post that she's just created. And then also if we go back to my award here, so the football activity, and we click down to the bottom here, the content feed, the work that's being posted to this particular activity is then represented here. So Natasha, you can see, has uploaded her teamwork in football post. And as you can imagine, as we get learners who are participating in this football activity, as they begin to upload more and more content to this, we've got a stream of examples of how football is helping develop teamwork or resilience or whatever it might be. And we've got lovely pieces of content here that will tell the narrative of how this piece of offering that we've got as part of our personal development curriculum is impacting that individual learner. So one of the major advantages of this is it gives us a stream of reflections we can begin to share with others. It reinforces the learning that's occurring, so that process of Natasha reflecting upon the skills she's building through this activity is reinforced because she's tagging the skills in, she's looking at what she's learned, and then it reinforces also the core skills and values that we as a school or college wish to instill as our learners. So if we go back to Natasha here and create a post, as we see this stage in the process, tag skills. These are all the skills that we've created that underpin our personal development curriculum. So we want our learners to be engaged, resilient, reflective. And as we get learners to upload more and more to their profile, they're starting to get used to and understand this language and how that is being developed through the curriculum that you're offering. And that understanding and impact is hugely important as far as Ofsted are concerned. So we can use a combination of awards and content to then start to build a compelling narrative as to why our personal development curriculum is outstanding and is worthy of sharing. And that is how Ofsted define outstanding: is your curriculum worthy of sharing? And then we'll now go through quickly Ofsted's sources of evidence and what they require to show that you're hitting these criteria, to see how Kloodle can help us with this. So the first source of evidence Ofsted look at is the range and breadth of our extracurricular activities offering. And here is where we can use our Kloodle dashboard. If we go back to our Kloodle account, My College and Dashboard, this dashboard is showing the breadth of our activities. So we've got 56 enrichment activities in our school, we've got 6 Gatsby activities, 5 curriculum activities and 6 pastoral. Now this content is derived from that spreadsheet that I uploaded earlier, and obviously as you've got an army of teachers and support staff who are uploading activities regularly to Kloodle account, obviously this will grow. You'll have more Gatsby activities, more curriculum enrichment, pastoral, so on and so forth being offered, and you can start to show the breadth of your curriculum through these different activities. The next point on this scale is how curriculum subjects such as citizenship, RE, etc. Are contributing to students' personal development. And also we can then begin to create awards for these particular subject areas to reinforce how our curriculum, our academic curriculum, RE curriculum is contributing to students' personal development. And let's see if we can look for an example of this on our Kloodle account. So we might click on our dashboard into the curriculum areas and look at the activities that our curriculum is offering that helps develop personal development. So it might be that we are looking at the history of democracy. So this might be something that we're looking at in history. And again, the same setup occurs. So the skills that are being developed through this particular activity. We can award learners the award, but more importantly, what's going to happen here is that we want to get students to begin to reflect upon the history of democracy and how this is developing that democratic character trait that we set up originally. So we might add a requirement to this award where we can get students to upload an essay on the importance of democracy. Obviously you can make the wording much stronger than I've just done, but what this does is it creates a requirement so that students who want to achieve this award then have to upload that essay on the importance of democracy to their account. So I'll show you a quick example of how that occurs by going back to Natasha's account, and if we look for her awards, and we'll type in the history of democracy and search for that. History of democracy is here. We'll get started with that award. And then as before, the to-dos here that we've got is upload an essay on the importance of democracy. So if we create post, that's completing that. Upload an essay on the importance of democracy. Importance. And then you can obviously start to create that post. You can upload it as a document as well if you want. So if the students have already written this essay as part of their work in the history class, they can do that there. Click next, tag skills, so it might have been engaged in history. Democratic, that's one that we're going to want to tag in. A great communicator, because we're using written communication. Next, keep that as private, and click finish. And then again, that will mark that to do as complete and also put my post on there for all to see. So then we can submit that application and click go. And then what that does is that creates an instance of that application that my teacher can then look at. So if I go back to my college account here and look at applications, then Natasha's application will come up there. We can click through to that. We can look at her post, so importance of curriculum, we can provide some feedback, probably need some more writing, some more letters, other than B. And then we can mark that as incomplete. So we provided feedback, I didn't post that. So provide more letters than B, mark it as incomplete, and then the student will get a notification that she's, let me just refresh that. So she get a notification at the top that she's been, she's had a award back, and also that feedback's been left on it. So need some more letters other than B, so she can then see that as part of her feedback. So you can see that what we're doing here is we're building for that second point of the Ofsted criteria. We are looking at how curriculum such as citizenship and RE is contributing to students' personal development. How well leaders promote British values through the curriculum, assemblies and wider opportunities, visits, discussion and literature. That second point, we can you start to use some of the British values tags in the available skills tags for our skills wheel. What that does, it means that every time a learner uploads a reflection to their profile, they've got an opportunity to tag in one of these British values skills, which further reinforces the character traits that the British values tries to instill. So again, if you remember here, when I create a post and tag skills, British values are being promoted here, democratic, respectful, and so on and so forth. And you can create more British values here if you like. So I think one of them is the rule of law, so you might want to put something in there about that. But again, this act of tagging in British values further reinforces our commitment to sort of instilling them within our learners. And then also what we've seen is schools and colleges create awards for each of the British values. So that might require a learner to pen a post describing what is meant by British values. So we've seen, and I don't know whether I've created one here, but let me have a quick look. If I look in my awards and search democratic, for example. No, I've not. So we could, for instance, create an award on democracy and get students to upload work around what they understand about democracy, or the rule of law, or so on and so forth. And we've seen a number of schools using Kloodle do this exact same thing. And then you can start to gather a body of evidence around what learners understand about democracy or the rule of law. So the next point of evidence that Ofsted may look at is how well leaders promote, I've already covered that one, how well leaders develop pupils' character through the education that they provide. And as discussed earlier through the research basis of Ofsted, one of the main things that you can do as a school or college to build character is to create a climate that learners can feel a sense of belonging to, that is structured with rules that are fair, well explained and adhered to, and the relationship between staff and learners is exemplary. And there are a few different ways that Kloodle can directly and indirectly help with that. Firstly, a sense of involvement can be highlighted by the extent to which a learner is involved in the life of the school. And for example of this, now we've set our enrichment activities up. Let's look at our dashboard. Our enrichment activities up here. One measure of a learner's engagement with our community could be how many learners are participating or not. So if they've got different activities listed on their profile, and if they haven't, the chances are that they're not participating fully, and we can intervene by kind of encouraging them to participate more, or look at what activities that we can be offering that will be of interest to them, that they want to participate in. And we can quickly see this by user participation here. And we can see what activities students are participating in within our schools. So are they engaging in employability activities, Gatsby activities, curriculum activities, skills and enrichment? So by this we can see Milo here isn't participating in any, so it might be that we want to have a conversation with Milo's to say, are there any enrichment activities on offer that you want to participate in, or Gatsby wise, can we help you organise work experience, or in the curriculum, why haven't you uploaded work about your democracy and history, and so on and so forth. Incidentally, on the left-hand side here, you will see filter tags. So this can be managed on a local level as well. And tags, for example, might be the year group that a student belongs to, or it might be the individual classes that a student belongs to. So it might be Mr. Harris's 5B history class that he can click on here, and it will filter out his history class. And that is something that we do during setup of Kloodle. So then you can see here Natasha has participated in 2 enrichment activities, and the pastoral activities no, curriculum activities, and so on and so forth. So we can start to think about what can we offer to ensure that Natasha is engaging fully with our personal development curriculum, again, which is a key requirement of Ofsted. Secondly, I said one of the indirect ways that Kloodle can help build character and develop character is through the student skills wheel. So as they start to upload more to their profile, and I've just clicked back across to Natasha's profile here, so this is a student, they can start to see the skills that they're developing through their activities within the school. So what character traits are they developing? Are they a team player? Are they becoming more curious? Are they a challenge seeker? Are they resilient? And this process of reflection, so creating a post about what we've learned in biology or in our enrichment activities or through extracurricular activities, and tagging in the skills, this process of reflection as well is a massive aspect in developing character. So some of the strongest proponents of, as a bit of a digression, some of the strongest proponents of character development throughout history embarked upon a stringent series of written reflections to develop the character. So, for example, Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, wrote a whole book chock full of reflections on his character, complete with sayings designed to remind him how to behave and how to develop his own character. Ben Franklin kept a character audit with a list of virtues that he wanted to cultivate, not dissimilar to our skills here. So he had a list of character traits that he wanted to cultivate. So this reflection process is hugely important in reinforcing how character is being developed and also keeping on top of this character development whilst at school or college. As in an earlier section, we've also listed out the character traits that we want to instill in our learner. Every time we're getting them to reflect upon these character traits, every upload we see a growing skills wheel, and this further reinforces these character traits. Finally, also with this point, so building strong relationships between teachers and pupils, we've seen a student's profile in general help build this teacher-student relationship. So a student's Kloodle profile isn't just obviously all their observations and reflections, it's also a bio about them. So obviously their main achievements that they've achieved, their education history, so what academic qualifications they may have, their experiences of work, what they've done in the workplace, their goals, their strengths and weaknesses, and their hobbies. So this provides a real clear pen picture of a student's entire character, and we've seen the aspect of going through a Kloodle profile help strengthen the relationship between a teacher and a student. We've had examples that of one disruptive pupil, for example, in a business studies lesson, through their Kloodle profile, his teacher worked out that he developed a revenue generating business on eBay, and showing recognition of this really developed that teacher pupil relationship. Which also brings about us to another point of the Ofsted research. One line of their research states that self-belief is increased by achievement and recognition. So building this profile here increases that ability to recognise your own achievements and also the recognition of it by others. So if a teacher looks through this and pats you on the back because you've done some work experience or you've achieved a particular thing, that's a great way to kind of build that strength of recognition. And we can also formalise that process through the awards that we developed. So we can also build awards that might celebrate students' achievements. So we might want to wrong button. So if I go back into being a teacher here and click on Natasha's profile, so we're going back to the same place essentially, I can then go down and look at her awards here and award her for academic achievement, for example. So this will give us academic achievement. Academic achievement. Oh, I called it academic excellence. So there you go. You can click award learner there, and that then filters into her profile here. So we can click award learner, and then that filters into her profile here. So you can see the academic achievement award here. So next, Ofsted are also looking at the quality of debate and discussions that pupils have. So as discussed earlier, building a reflective culture in your school or college can be key to this. So lots of research cites the importance on reflecting upon the skills and knowledge being developed in the curriculum programme in order to apply this knowledge and skills to new contexts. And being able to obviously apply knowledge from one area of the curriculum to other areas will help your strength as a debater. So by reflecting, you're arming students with the vocabulary they need to become stronger debaters. But also we can start to realise that students require the opportunity to debate. So this can happen formally through debating clubs, for example, but also during the classroom. So strong teachers facilitate that debate around topics that they may be studying in the classroom. And that Ofsted, in the research basis, make mention to the fact that debate shouldn't just be limited to politics students, and expanding these opportunities for debate is crucial. And interesting, in view of time, I might cover this in another webinar, but on Kloodle you can actually create a number of networks where you can start to encourage debate. So you might want to create a politics channel, or you might want to create a, let's see if we've got anything so the student council forum here, few threads. We can create topics for discussion here. So what would you like to see discussed in the next student council, and get students to upload their thoughts on here. And this can help because the vast majority of debates that learners will access nowadays will be in written form through social media. And debates by this media often descend into kind of polarised opinions. And the ability to teach young people the art of nuance and to guard against that kind of black and white thinking, sort of I'm right and they're wrong, is massively important. And schools are kind of bastions of academic thought, and academic thought requires strong opinions that are loosely held. So if we hear an argument that has greater weight than our own, we should change our opinion accordingly. Until that point, argue our own point of view with conviction, but we should be willing to listen and change our opinion if we feel that we are wrong. So argue like we're right, but listen like we're wrong. And these forums create a great training ground for cultivating this style of debate. And finally, in Ofsted, so as well as the debate, we've checked that box off. As well, the last point here is the quality of careers information, education, advice, and guidance. And this revolves around, in Ofsted's Common Inspection Framework, the Gatsby benchmarks, and that is an awful lot to cover. And we've developed another webinar in order to help with the Gatsby benchmarks, as well as a number of resources about hitting Gatsby benchmarks and what they're all about. So as a result of this webinar, we will forward you material with a link to that other webinar, as well as articles that we have produced to help you with Gatsby. So in conclusion, the Ofsted framework, this new Ofsted framework feels like it's got many merits, and it looks less prescriptive and autocratic than previous versions, and it wants to explore kind of the meta principles behind your curriculum. It looks to kind of respect you as a professional, and respect your professional judgment of what needs to be in the curriculum, and also the rationale behind your curriculum decisions and your organisation structure and how you offer different things to pupils. In short, the curriculum that you develop for personal development has to be broad. It has to be agreed upon by the leaders of your school or college within with regard, to the skills and knowledge that it delivers. It should be ambitious. It should be designed to maximise understanding, and it should equip learners with skills and knowledge that will help prepare them for their next stage. And the organisation of this curricula and how it is structured is crucial. And hopefully through this webinar, we've started to begin to show you how Kloodle is an excellent tool to add structure and organisation to this personal development curriculum. So that whole process of creating awards, underpinning them with the skills and values that your school or college want to instill within pupils, create structure and rigour around your personal development curriculum. And more importantly, by creating those reflections, you are starting to show impact. So the 3 I's of curriculum development: intent, implementation, and impact. That impact is really shown effectively by Kloodle, and creates a great story around how your personal development curriculum is in fact outstanding. If you'd like to learn more about Kloodle and how we can help, then we'd be more than happy to arrange an individual phone call to explore your needs. And you can book this through our website. There's a demo button on there that takes you through to a calendar that enables you to select a time. So please feel free to do that. Alternatively, you can give us a call. The number's 0161 468 2724, or you can email us, and my email address is philip with a double L at kloodle.com. We'd be more than happy to hear from you and hear your feedback first and foremost on this webinar, how we can improve it, because obviously we're always looking to be as helpful as we possibly can. But then also, we'd love to have a conversation around some of the challenges that you might face with implementing this aspect of the curriculum, and through our experience with helping other schools and colleges, how possibly we can help you. So many thanks for your attention. There is a replay of this webinar that we will send you the link to. But other than that, thank you very much and have a great rest of the day.